Hey, what's up, ladies and gentlemen? My name is Bandit, and today I'm going to be going over the Mono Magnet Squad, which is a super fun team that I came up with. So a couple of the pros to this team. First off, you get to use Magnemite. There's surprising team versatility. You actually have like several options that you can choose. It's very easy to predict opponents' picks because your team is pretty homogenous and it's pretty obvious what they're going to pick into magnets. And it's got a huge novelty value. It's a very, very fun team to use. The cons. You have to use Magnemite. Magnemite, not that great, kind of. Team requires highly specific counter sets, utilizing Air Balloon to deal with Earthquake users and that kind of thing. It's also relatively easy to counter team with unbeatables. There are some Pokemon that simply beat all the magnets. Stuff like Mold Breaker, Sock, or something like that that's just going to hit you hard enough, and you just can't hit it back, and it's going to break your sturdy, and yeah, that kind of thing. So why this evolution line? A lot of it has to do with sheer offensive power, so we've got really, really strong special attackers that can actually cover the threats that they have to deal with. So, for example, you can have a Specs Magnezone that's going to be dealing damage, but it's going to lose to Gyarados, right? You put an Air Balloon Magneton on the team, and all of a sudden you deal with that Gyarados, so you cover your counters. Also, dramatically different playstyles between the first and second evolution team members, aka Magnemite and Magneton. Magnemite plays at level 1 with a sturdy toxic berry juice set, whereas the second evolution runs offensive electric moves. So I should explain the Magnet Squad a little bit, because there's a few different variations of these Pokemon, and I want to explain why I use them the way I do. So first off, it's Magnemite, okay? Magnemite is pretty self-explanatory. It's level 1, it's sturdy, it's got berry juice. It regens all of its health when it gets knocked to low. So you start off with a toxic, and you get knocked back to full health, and you use Recycle to restore your berry juice and survive indefinitely as your opponent slowly dies to toxic. You also have Protect on here. You can alternate that out with Recycle, and you can also use it on Fake Out. Magic Code is here to bounce back stuff like Taunt. This is the offensive Magneton. This is the Electrium Z set. The reason that you would use this instead of an offensive Magnezone is the fact that it is faster. You can run this Timid and hit 262 speed, which will outpace Adamant Gyarados. This is the anti-Gyarados Magneton, so this one doesn't hit quite as hard, of course, but it's perfectly capable of taking out one very specific threat, which is Mega Gyarados, which, of course, blows through this team with Earthquake otherwise. So how this works is Analytic boosts the power of the first Electro Web to the point where it deals the majority of Gyarados' health, and then it also slows him down to the point where Thunderbolt will KO him the following turn. The combination of Electro Web and HP Ground lets you beat other Magneton and Magnezone, which is very important, and Flash Cannon works as stab steal coverage. This is the offensive Magnezone that you might want to use. The reason you'd use this instead of offensive Magneton is the fact that it hits harder. It's got 394 special attack with the modest nature, and you can boost that up even further with Electric Terrain or Metal Sound. So Metal Sound, of course, is going to lower target SPDEF. This will help you break through walls like Chansey. Electric Terrain, it does boost electric moves, and it also has the addition of preventing sleep. So if you're up against a sleep user, you can actually make use of Electric Terrain and then hit them harder on turn 2. This is the anti-Gyarados Magnezone set with Air Balloon and, of course, Electro Web Thunderbolt. With 200 modest, this is guaranteed to 2-hit KO a Gyarados. And it also has useful coverage in Hidden Power Ice and Mirror Coat. Mirror Coat is a very, very useful move. Unfortunately, only Magnezone gets Mirror Coat, so if you're going to use that to bounce back special attacks, you have to use it on Magnezone. And then this is the very last Magnezone set that I'm going to talk about. It's the Choice Specs set, and the reason that I think this one is notable is because, first of all, it's quite versatile. You can switch out Flash Cannon for any Hidden Power of your choice. Hidden Power Fire, Ice, Grass, they all work. And then you've got Hyper Beam on here. This is the only thing that will take out Charizard X 100% of the time. And yeah, of course, Mirror Coat on here too, since it's such a useful move, helps against Charizard Y and the like. So these are the actual teams that I put together based on those sets. And they're each a little bit different, but I'm going to explain the differences and why. So the first one here, this is Electro Z Ton and Air Balloon Zone. And the reason I chose this, so this is, I want my offensive magnet to be as fast as possible. And in fact, I'm actually going to run Metal Sound on this because I want to be able to break through special walls. So this, even though it's not as high into special attack as a Magnezone might be, it's still perfectly capable of breaking down its checks and counters. Magnemite, of course, stays the exact same. The EVs are nothing. They literally don't matter at all because you're level 1. And then Magnezone, this is the air balloon set to go with the offensive Magneton set. So Magneton hits pretty much everything, and then Magnezone is here for Gyarados and special attackers and things that need to be hidden power iced. This is the second version of the team. This is one with Air Balloon Magneton and Electrium Z Zone, and the reason for this is one that's just supposed to nuke things as hard as possible with Electrium Z. So we've got Z-Zap Cannon in combination with Electro Web for speed control, we have Electric Terrain to prevent sleep, and Round, what's Round doing here? It's actually a really funny tech. Round bypasses Substitute, so if you are up against a Jumpluff, this is the Magnezone set to use. Electric Terrain, as soon as you wake up from the first sleep powder, will prevent sleep again, and Round will bypass Jumpluff Substitute, letting you KO it. And then this is the very last team that I found that's viable, which is Air Balloon Magneton and Choice Specs Magnezone. This is the best team to deal with Charizard X because of that Choice Specs Hyper Beam. The only thing you have to worry about is a fast substitute on Charizard X. One thing important to note about this Magneton spread is that it's actually EV'd the 240 and the 8 defense. This is to tank a +1 Gyarados Crunch. So the only way Gyarados can knock it out in one hit is with Earthquake, but it's got Air Balloon to prevent that. So this pretty much just guarantees that you're going to live a hit, even if it's his Dragon Dance Crunch set, and you're going to be able to Electro Web Thunderbolt and win. And then a couple quick notes on soft and hard checks and counters. I just want to mention Gyarados one more time because you have to have Air Balloon and Electro Web to beat it. Charizard X is very, very notable because you need Specs, Zone, or Magnemite, and you have to beware Substitute. Stuff like Dragonite and Megairna can be beat with Electro Web or Metal Sound plus Z Zap Cannon. Mimikyu is pretty easy to beat with Electro Web. Lando T and stuff like that can be beaten with Specs HP Ice. Snorlax goes down to Substitute, Metal Sound, Electric Terrain, or Z Zap Cannon. Lele dies to Mirror Coat or Modest Z Zap. Lopunny Mega goes down if you Protect on the Fake Out. Magnezone loses to Electro Web plus HP Ground. And Aggron Meta loses to Substitute and Metal Sound. There are a couple of hard counters that you do have to watch out for. And these are going to be very, very specific things that just beat all the magnets, and there's really nothing you can do about it. So stuff like Special Defensive Metagross that you can't Toxic and you can't knock out, and it's going to two-shot you with priority. Like, you have to accept that there's some matchups that you just aren't going to take. Another couple of examples include Mold Breaker fighting types with significant special defense invest. So anything like a Sock or a Throw that can tank a Specs Thunderbolt or a Modest Z Zap Cannon and KO with the Mold Breaker fighting move. And you also have to watch out for special defense invest things with Lumberry, because Lumberry, of course, will prevent Magnemite's Toxic, and if your other electric attackers aren't able to take out that threat, Lumberry will prevent Magnemite from doing its job. So, the Magnet Squad overview recap. It's a very, very fun and unique team. It's very easy to get wins versus unprepared opponents because people pick very predictably into a team full of magnets. You do have to be very careful at higher elos for counter teaming because people are going to put together specific sets to beat you. Despite some auto losses, the team is still fairly viable, especially for one made up of a single evolution line. Thanks so much for watching. I hope you've enjoyed, and I hope you guys have a wonderful day. See you next time.